Good morning, guys. Today we are going to be talking about my cold weather gear. I want to show you guys what type of gear I use when riding to work on my Brompton in cold weather. Whew. Good morning, guys. I am up. It is, I don't know what time it is, 6:36 a.m. I'm getting ready to leave here in about a little less than half an hour. I'm heading to work. It is really cold outside. It is about 25 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that's about -4 Celsius. So it's pretty cold. I mean, it's not like super cold, but it's definitely below freezing. So I thought it would be a great day to talk about my cold weather gear. I don't wear anything really that different when I go to work. I normally just wear my regular clothes, you know, just pants, shoes, shirt, just pretty much standard. But I'm going to show you some of the gear that I add to my regular clothes to make it more winter proof. Okay, first off, we're going to start with the head. Okay, I usually don't wear a toboggan, but what I do have is my burn helmet that you guys see in all my videos. I love this helmet. It's like my favorite helmet in the world. It's gotten pretty beat up over the years, but this is my favorite helmet. It's got a couple GoPro mounts on the top. This helmet has an inner lining, and that inner lining can come out. I have a summer lining that doesn't cover the ears, and I have a winter lining that does cover the ears. So it's got these flaps on it that actually cover the ears. Basically kind of like a ski helmet. Now I just wear regular clothes. If it's really cold or if it's getting close to the freezing mark, 0 degrees Celsius, if it's getting close to that, I will put on some thermal underwear and a thermal shirt. The base layer, you want it to be one of these quick drying polyester type shirts. That's what I usually wear, is just a really quick dry type of a shirt. You don't want cotton as your base layer. Okay, so basically, depending on how cold it is, I will layer up. It's all about layers during the winter time. And if it's really cold out, I'm gonna add layers on as I need them. And I usually carry extra layers just in case I do need them. But 9 times out of 10, there are 3 basic layers that I need. Actually 4 basic layers. The first layer is obviously the polyester quick drying shirt. The second layer and the third layer is I usually wear kind of like a sweater with a long sleeve t-shirt underneath it. So I have a long sleeve t-shirt and I have a sweater. I usually wear this when it's in the 40s, you know, 40 or above on the Fahrenheit scale. I will wear this and that's it, just a t-shirt and a light sweater. But when it starts getting below that, when it starts getting into the 30s and the 20s on the Fahrenheit scale, I have to add a windbreaker. This is a light, you know, really thin windbreaker. I put this over the light sweater and the t-shirt, the long sleeve t-shirt. And generally this is basically what I use all the way until it gets into the teens. When it starts getting close to the 10-degree Fahrenheit mark and it's starting to get close to 0 degrees Fahrenheit, this isn't good enough. I have to add a layer on top of these. But generally during the wintertime, this is mostly what I wear while cycling. The windbreaker is the most important thing. You want one that definitely can be seen in the early dawn hours and in the late dusk hours. So reflectors, bright color, definitely the way to go. When it starts getting cold out and you're riding your bike and all that wind is hitting you, it is penetrating this, which is going to make you cold. That's where the windbreaker comes in. It definitely stops the wind from getting through. Plus it keeps the heat in, which will definitely keep you nice and toasty most of the way through the winter time. The only time this doesn't work, this combination, is when it gets super cold. But for the most part, this is what I ride throughout the whole winter. Now the next thing that I use in cold weather and in freezing weather, but even though my freezing weather gear, you know, my really cold weather gear is a little bit different, and I'll talk about all that stuff in another video. But as you can see, this windbreaker doesn't really cover much of the neck. So basically I have what you call a buff, and this basically has these little Velcro strips, and you basically wrap it around and it velcros together. So basically it keeps that neck covered and keeps everything all nice and warm. And if your face starts getting cold, you could basically just lift up on it like that, and that'll take care of it. It'll keep all your face all nice and warm, and you don't have to worry about your nose freezing or whatever. Plus, my ears are covered with the helmet, so generally my face and everything perfectly fine. For freezing weather, I have a whole different set of gloves, but for cold weather, I have 2 sets of gloves. These are North Face, they're really light gloves. When it's in the 40s on the Fahrenheit scale, these are more than good enough. I just wear these and just go with that. But when it starts getting down into the 30s and the high 20s, I have to use something a little bit thicker. I use these lobster claw gloves, which keeps, it basically acts like a mitten. It keeps your fingers together, but it definitely allows you to split your hand. That way you can operate the brake a little bit easier and still keep 2 fingers on the handlebars, unlike mittens where you have to pull all your fingers off of the handlebars to grab the brake lever. So these kind of have the best of both worlds. It has the best of mittens and the best of regular finger gloves. They also have reflectors on them, so that helps for visibility. These are like water resistant. They're not waterproof like my other gloves, but they do okay. I mean, in a light drizzle, they'll be perfectly fine. But these are what I use on days like today when it gets really, really cold. So basically that is all my cold weather gear that I use during the week when commuting back and forth to work. This stuff is more than good enough for most cases. When it gets wet out, like wet snow, really, really cold temperatures, I have a complete separate set of gear for that, which I'll talk about in another video. But mainly, this is just what I use. All this stuff is fairly inexpensive. I don't believe in spending a ton of money when buying gear just to go back and forth to work. The stuff that I ride to work in is not really high quality. Most of this stuff you can get really cheap. The stuff that I'm out, like when I go out and about, I usually wear better, more higher quality clothing. But we'll talk about that in another video as well. But right now, I gotta get dressed up and we gotta get out the door because I gotta get to work. Okay guys, got the Brompton ready. Everything looks all ready to go. Generally, I carry a pretty thick backpack. You know, I got my work laptop. I've got some extra clothes just in case I need them. I got a few other little odds and ends. Just basic stuff that I may or may not need. My rain gear's in here too, like my waterproof pants, my waterproof shoe covers, things like that. There's some people scraping off their windows. That's the one good thing about owning a Brompton. You don't have to bother with that. Guys, riding in cold weather doesn't have to be uncomfortable. It really doesn't. It actually is quite enjoyable. All you need to do is figure out how to layer. Now, everybody's body is different. Your body might lose heat faster than my body does. Regardless, you have to do some experimentation. Figure out how many layers you absolutely need. You don't want to wear more than that because you'll overheat. You don't want to wear less than what you need because then you'll freeze to death. So figure out exactly what you need and do that by experimentation. Ooh, guys, it's been a long time since I've rode in this cold of weather. Whew. It is well below the freezing mark, that's for sure. Like -4 degrees centigrade. Whew. Yeah, I need to revise my cold weather gear. What I showed you this morning, what I've got on, that's just what I'm using right at the moment. I do want to make some upgrades pretty soon, so hopefully I'll be able to do that, and I'll share that with you guys. But right now, I've got about 9 minutes before I have to get into work. Work is right over there. So I'm gonna get in there, get warmed up a little bit, get started with my day.
6.5 hours later.
Okay guys, fast forward 6.5, 7 hours. I think it's 6.5. I'm taking a late lunch break. I wanted to finish the topic of my winter riding gear. One thing I did not mention this morning was how I keep my feet warm on cold days. I did have a nice pair of 600-gram insulated boots that I used to ride through the winter here in Colorado. I've used them for the last 3 winters here in Colorado, and they have completely wore out. They've split in half and they are unusable. I need to get another pair. Now, for most people, getting a nice pair of insulated work boots or riding boots or whatever is just as simple as going to your local store and buying some. Unfortunately for me, being a vegan, it's very difficult because I don't wear leather. So finding a pair of work boots that don't contain leather is very, very difficult. I had to order my last pair and it took some time to get them. It took some time to find a pair. So I've been without a pair of work boots for maybe about a month or 2 now, and I really need to get another set. But right now, what I am wearing is just my regular tennis shoes, and I have some insulated socks, some non-wool insulated socks. These synthetic socks actually keep my feet pretty warm. The thing you need to remember about socks, especially with your feet, is you don't want to layer up too much on your feet, because the compression of having 2 or 3 pairs of socks on will definitely restrict blood flow to your feet. I find that just wearing a nice 1 pair of insulated socks works better than if I wear 2 or 3 pairs of other socks. But for the really, really cold temperatures, I definitely need to get a good pair of insulated work boots. That is coming on the list pretty soon. Anyway guys, it is lunch break and I have to go pick up something to eat and then get back to the shop. If you guys have any comments or questions, leave them down in the comment and questions section. If you have any suggestions or just want to tell me what kind of winter gear you ride with, leave that down in the comment section below too. I'll be glad to read through that. Guys, slap a like on the video if you like it, and I will talk with you guys on the next one. I'm gonna go get something to eat. I'll see you guys later. Bye.